Player spoiler! Oh no, it's a map! The Knuckles of Freedom! Oh God. Greetings, programs. Hanker and Fernale here with another awesome episode of Drunken and Dragons. How to play D&D the awesome way, which you're already doing, but a little bit of help always helps. Well, that's a real Ben Franklin moment right there. A little bit of help always helps. It's the second episode in the Key Mechanics series. So this is where we talk about simple game mechanics to use in your game that will make all the shit cooler. Yeah, man. Put that in your book, son. Alright, this episode of Key Mechanics is all about rest. Yeah, and I'm not talking about once you have this much stuff and this stuff over here. That's the rest. No. I'm talking about resting. The verb, yo. I'm talking about I am rested. My name is Ted, and I'm rested. Hey, yo, Rested, what's up? Feeling sleepy, B? Actually, he wouldn't say that because he's well rested. That whole thing went terribly. Man, is it important when you are trying to make your gaming cool. Okay, so before we get right into the actual mechanical portion of talking about rest, why is this topic coming up? Well, if your characters are first, second level, they need all the rest they can get. You know what I mean? It's just like kids in 4th grade, they need a nap like every 20 minutes or so. It's crazy. You know, by the time you're in high school, you don't sleep for sometimes weeks at a time. One has played level 1 and 2 characters. Not a lot of people have played 5 and above level characters and actually sustained it and be able to get away with it. You know, it takes a good dedicated group. And no, starting your game at 5th level does not frickin' count. Okay, that's called being a Death Knight and turbo leveling, and no one likes you. So just quit doing it. If you want a campaign of 10th level characters, then you better get to work, kid. Start at level 1. Be a man. So why? Why is rest important when I am mid to high level? Well, I'll tell you why. Because as a DM, sometimes I want to be cool too, man. You ever notice the PCs always get to win? Now, one of them might die. They might drop several times during a fight, but then like on their 3rd death save, they make it, and then the guy runs across the board, and he's like, boo, heals him for 2, and the guy's up, right? And then you as the DM, being the monster guy, every once in a while, man, you want the thrill of the kill, baby. Or at least the thrill of terrifying the living hell out of your players. That's a close second. You'll find quickly at level 4 and above, especially if your players really work well together as a family, as a team, that they are incredibly difficult to beat. Even if you set the environment against them, you give them no time. You put DOTs on them, they're poisoned, they're burning, they got bugs in their pants, and then boom! 14 displacer beasts, B-hatch. So deal with it. There's a Hydra in your nose. And they still come out in one piece somehow. Everybody has like 2 hit points, but they come out and they're like, that was cool, what's next? You're like, damn, man, I put a week of work into that encounter and they just pwned me. Part of the reason that happens is because the numeric complexity of the game. Part of the reason it happens is D&D is more appealing at low levels, I think, as far as its overall balance. But the biggest reason is that when you're a DM, you are one mind, and your party is multiple minds, and if you are playing PvP is really what it adds up to in some ways. It can be very difficult for one head to have the same thinking power of 5. So it's tough to outwit that many people, especially when you're looking at the whole story arc, you're looking at numeric balance, you're looking at all this other stuff. You know, you're making sure the music's right, everybody's got a Dorito. You know what I mean? All they have to do is focus on like teamwork, use their character, max it out. So how do you do it? What do you do? Nothing is hard. These guys are too cool and too powerful, but I don't want to nerf them. I want to do it the right way. What do? Hanker and Fernale? You use rest. More specifically, the lack thereof. It's just like finals week, man. College is a breeze, you guys, except for the expense. All it is partying. It's easy. But then finals week comes, and you never sleep, and it gets hard, and everybody starts complaining, and then it's like, I can't go out tonight and have fun because I got a test. It's the same in D&D. So if you want the tone of your campaign to be very just like gallivanting across the countryside and I'm killing whatever is in my face, then give them rest all the time. But if you want it to feel like finals week, which I guarantee you is the funnest way to play D&D, then don't let them sleep. All right, enough crap. Let's get to the mechanical part, Hankerin. A visual aid here. Like astronomy or other aspects of complex science, visual aids can help you to visualize the numeric theory at play. So usually what you learn is like how far Pluto is from the sun. Whoa, my mind is blown, dude. In this case, we are going to look at the 3 models of rest or rest deprivation that are going to create the 3 types of experiences for your player based on where you let the rest happen. Now remember, you can let players choose a ton of shit in the game. Where they go, what they do, what gear they want, what spells they want, all this crap. But there's something they can't decide if you're a good DM, and that's when they rest. So if you press the action in your world in the right way, they can't just be like, you know, I know we're halfway through the dragon fight, but I used some of my cooler spells. I think I'd rather go outside and take a nap right now. Okay, well, you turn around and you're fried. You know, no, it doesn't work like that. You're a big boy now, and when you go to school, you can't come home till 3:30. At least that's how it was in the 80s. I think now people just go to school like for 12 hours a day or something. I don't know. I don't know anymore. I'm off topic. As the DM, really do have a good sense of control on when rest happens. It's when you relent. It's when you say, the worms are no longer spawning out of the earth to devour your face. So you can sleep now. Isn't that nice of me? So how do you use that very powerful element of the game? That key mechanic of the game. I'll tell you how you do one of these 3 scenarios or the nuanced mixtures of the 3. So over here on this side of the board, my left, you will see the 3 heroes. We have Armor von Armerson, we have Florian Evermoon, and we have Green McStafferson. And they are confronting an abstract sense of an adventure. So each square on this grid is an encounter. And a green dice represents a long rest. Or, if you're really evil, a short rest. But let's just call it a rest for the sake of abstract theory. So if you see a green dice, it means the character gets to rest. The bad guys on this end of the table, my right, are our supreme villains. We have Crowy McSword, this small white goat, and then we have Orky McShielderson. So the continuum of space between each of these represents the length of an adventure, a series of nights of gameplay. Usually in my group, 3 encounters is about the ideal for a night of gameplay. So this is about 8 squares across, so this would be 2.5 nights of gameplay. Don't forget that key fact. 1 real rest in 3 nights of gameplay. Are you doing that in your group? My guess is not. If you're doing even longer than that, then woo, man, y'all haggard. You know what I mean? Y'all looking haggard. You got them bags. You look baggard. So what are the 3 scenarios and what effects do they create in the action awesomeness of your game? Okay, first we have Armor McArmerson over here. So he's got 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, that was a whole night. Whoo! I used like second wind. My sword got broken. I'm down to 16 hit points. That was crazy. Okay, second night. 1, 2, 3. Woo-wee! We just barely made it out of the cave. I got 5 hit points left. And, you know, blah, blah, blah. I lost this item, but this is the end of the thing. I got an item. Hey, finally get to rest. And then they wake up in the morning, and while they're eating eggs, Crowy McSworderson attacks. Now, Armor McArmerson here has just had a huge rest, so he has got all his powers, all his stuff. He's sharpened his sword. He's done all his, remembered his spells, whatever he can do. And so when this Crowy McSworderson attacks, this battle is going to be very weighted on the side of the player. And what does that do for you as the DM? Well, for 2 nights, you're running this guy ragged. So it is a reward. To give you a big fight right after a big rest is a way for the DM to reward the players. Now, this is clutch that you understand this. It's better than treasure, you guys, because what is the coolest thing in D&D? It is not treasure, and it's not XP. Honestly, it's not role-playing. I know, controversy. I'll tell you what the coolest thing in D&D is. It's kicking ass. Because a lot of times, kicking ass will give rise to the best role-playing you've ever done. Because you're in it, you're thundering, you're just like, cha, spell, heal, potion, item, guzzle, right? That is why you're here. So as the DM, what you want to do is pace the reward. You can't just play Jungle Boogie and then T-Pain. You got to put, Kansas in there. And you got to play like a little sort of generic kind of acapella number. And then when everybody's getting a little snoozy and they're starting to rest, then you hit them with the freaking drop it like it's hot. You know what I'm saying? Okay, that got a little weird. This whole stretch, man, running ragged. And then I realized as the DM, man, I'm just like juicing the life out of this guy. So we let them rest. They show up. I say, hey, yo, you guys remember you went to sleep last night right outside the dragon's cave. When you wake up and you're having bacon, he smells it and he comes out to meet you. And you are ready. Bring it. That's basically handing them this badass encounter where they just get to thunder through it. Way to go, DM. You just made everybody have frickin' blast. Okay, so that's scenario one. Scenario one I'd like to call the late rest. Second scenario is the halfway point. Okay, so one night, big rest, final encounter. When you do this model, which is I think probably the most common model, you'll hit your boss fight at a mid-level of rest, and this, you'll still be amazed how powerful your characters will be. Now, I wouldn't consider this quite a reward, because your players aren't full hit points and they aren't full power, full spells and so on and so forth. But they aren't ragged either. And so I would call this, actually I don't think your players will even really notice this one. They're going to remember that first case. They'll be telling stories about that first case for months. Like remember that morning we were cooking bacon and the dragon came out and we're just like, what? You can't have my bacon, and we just smacked him down. That was so dope. But this one, I don't think they're really going to notice. It's going to be part of the life cycle of adventurers. Rest. Big bad guy, rest. Rest. Big bad guy, rest. Okay, there are 4 weeks just passed. So it just feels like the normal flow. So that's what case 2 is, I would call, is like on time. Normal flow, right? For the supreme one. Now this is when your story is about to take a huge turn. Or you're tired of being somewhere. Let's say you've been in the swamp for like 2 months with these PCs and you're just like, I gotta get these guys out of the swamp. The only way to do it is to fight the night hag. But I want this night hag shit to be terrifying, man. I want to drive it home and then we're done with the swamp forever. How do you do that? Well, then you do the early model. Rest early. Okay, so how does rest early count? Well, I know that over the course of 2 or 3 nights, I'm going to do the swamp night hag story. So they come into the swamp, and on the periphery of the swamp, it's actually pretty peaceful. They have one corny little encounter with some rogue frogs, and then the swamp goes quiet and they go to sleep. So that's the dice here, right? This is on like the second encounter. Rest. And this is Staffy McGreenerson, or was he Greeny McStafferson? Anyway, so they rest. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They got 2 full nights without any rest, and then there's not any before Orky McShielderson, who is now the night hag, which I have a night hag figure here somewhere, but honestly, who wants to get up? Jeez. The nectar of fruit, combined with the wizardry of yeast. Wow. So these guys haven't rested in 2 nights, and then you don't give them anything right before the night hag. Like they're stumbling through the flies and the muck and everything. It's like, there's no place that we can even catch a moment's peace in this hellhole. I'm the night hag. I'm the final encounter. I'm gonna chew on your bones. And they have so little left. They have 2 hit points each. They have 1 spell between 4 of them. 2 of them, their armor has rotted off. Another one has a parasite in his ear and can't see. And then the night hag shows her face, and they know that they're here for her. They have to get her heart to take back to the king, to prove that the town is safe. So it's on, baby. It's on. So they come into that encounter so haggard that they want to look for ways to use the environment. They want to run away and then peck at her. They want to kite her around the board. They want to do all the classic maneuvers. Stealth and sneak up and backstab and use the freaking bow of slaying. And then there's the orb of night hagging and woo! If they come out of this in one piece, and that's a big if. This is the way that the DM gets his moment. This is a great moment. This is where you get to be supreme, and you can actually throw very little at them when they're not rested and crush them. So let's say instead of, like a CR13 dragon for level 5 PCs, you could totally do a CR6 night hag with like 3 little minions, frogs, and totally challenge them. So that's half the XP output. Remember, as a DM, when you're giving out XP, you're spending your currency. So if you want the night to be about your story, your break in the action, your power, you don't want to hand out a shit ton of XP afterwards. It's like, what? So this is the early rest model, and this will give you this feeling of the players going back to town just being like, that was fucked up. That was fucked up. I hope that never happens again. It may be an epic fight, but they will come away from it feeling like, I need to be better prepared. I need to more smartly conserve my spells. I need to make sure that my gear doesn't get degraded. And it will give them this whole new set of fears. Now, as the DM, this is a key moment for you to get out your sickle and harvest the grain of their terror. Oh yeah, man, did you see that? How I was flexing on you fools? And then what they say and how they react is some of the most critical information you can gather as the DM. What are they worried about happening in the future? What do they think is going to happen next? Because even if you didn't think of it, you should take notes, because a lot of times their ideas are cooler than yours. And you can wind those into the next yarn or the next story. If you notice that somebody had a certain penchant that really bit them in the ass, like OPing their first battle, which is a classic behavior of wizards, build an encounter that plays on those fears and that openly plays on them. You can have NPCs telling the players stuff like this. Go ahead, use your spells on me. It's only the first of 4 battles. And it's amazing. They'll just be like, okay, fine, mofo. And then don't let them rest for 4 days. And then they're in the south tower of friggin' Ravenloft and all shit's breaking loose. That's the early rest model. The late rest model, reward your players by resting them and letting them clobber a huge thing. Keep business as usual nice and tidy by resting them midway between difficult moments. Everything will feel moderately balanced and difficult and groovy. But then, when you really want to take a turn, you really want to blow their minds, and you want to change the tone of your campaign and rejuvenate the fear and the tension because your players are getting sloppy, early rest, and then run them ragged and hit the big guy. Hit that night hag with her 3 frogs. And you will bear witness to what players are really made of. So you guys were probably already doing most of these mechanics, but I think the key with key mechanics, putting the key in key mechanics, unlock key mechanics. That was just horrible. Key is to consciously use the mechanics in these ways. So a lot of times you'll accidentally find that the players go back to town, or they're so messed up that they hide in a grotto. One of them has a great idea, or he uses Lemninkainen's tiny hut or something, and you just can't deny it. You're just like, yeah, that's an awesome idea. Okay, you rest. And then whoops, they pwned my super cool story-turning encounter. Okay, so you gotta be careful. You gotta keep them on the run. You gotta keep it moving. You gotta be smart, and it's gotta be believable. But you're consciously making a note. I mean, this is like how you do it. The first thing you write for the encounter is late rest model. Okay, so I am not gonna let these guys rest until right at the end. Then I'm gonna hit them with the big guy, and they're all gonna have a great time. Because you know what? We've been working too hard at this game. Or I'm gonna say, everybody's resting on their laurels. They're taking me for granted. This game's a mess. Everybody's getting drunk. That's not really. They're eating too many crackers is a better one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rest them early and blow their minds. So I'll just make a diagram right off the bat. Again, you guys know me. I'm a big believer in visual aids. So I'll make a diagram. I'll be like, here's the beginning of the adventure. Here's the end. And here is the rest point. Okay, so that means, let me see, I need 1 encounter, rest, then I need 4 encounters, boss. That might be a little extreme. I'll go here, 2 encounters, 3, boss. Yeah, that'll be perfect for them. Make that little diagram, make that little line, and then build your story so that it plays this up. So if you're doing the swamp, it's the song of the night hag, and the rest happens, as they rest, they hear this eerie music coming out of the swamp. This is the voice of the fen is drifting across the mist. And that's actually her. And she's actually used to be a good person, but she's fallen. And all the clues are kind of laid out in this little part of the adventure. But once you're in here, all it is terror and building the rage and the desire to kill her, so that when the time comes, the job gets done. Or if they don't kill her and they come up with some other solution, it's got story punch. But you consciously decide where to put that information, how to present it, how to turn it into awesomeness. Whew, man, I feel like those players going in on the Night Hag and her 3 frogs. I think I just did the early rest model on this video. For the second episode of Key Mechanics, I hope you guys enjoyed that. What do you think? How do you work your party with rest, and what techniques do you use to make sure that you're consciously using rest, not accidentally using it to push drama, to push fuck yeah? Let me know. Put it in the comments section. You guys never have any shortage of mind-blowing comments, so get that work done. Strength, honor, and just enough rest to make it dope. Until next time, you guys, just keep being awesome, keep playing that D&D, and holla back. All right. Peace. Civilization arises in the ashes.